I kick ass for the Lord.
What about me?
I never loved him the way that I love you. Just drops the mic.
Bit me with his butt.
I can't see it from here.
What about the panty?
What about the panty? What's up, Butters? It gets me every time. I'm the one that says it. It gets me every time. I was going to start off talking about a long nose hair that I had that's really bugging me and that only Spencer could see because he can see me on another screen. But I'm not going to start out that way. Instead, I'm going to welcome you in to 52/1993, our movie podcast where we talk about movies from the year 1993. We watch 52 of them. So you don't have to, or you can join us and watch some of these movies and see how you feel about them. We will be doing this the rest of the year or until one of us or all of us, cease to exist. But that's a whole nother story. But anyway, we are watching 52 movies from this year or from 1993. It's been 30 years. It's time to reevaluate. Look at what we were watching back then. It doesn't matter if these movies are good or bad. Some of them are going to be good. Some of them are going to be fun. Some of them are going to be really bad. And some of them that were considered good or we're going to look at and we're going to be like, this movie's pretty trash. So that's what we do. And we like to talk about them. I hope you like to talk about them. I like to talk about them. So we'll see how that goes for the future. I want to welcome everybody in that has joined us. Please let yourself be known in the chat and follow along with us as we talk about today's movie, which is Cliffhanger, 1993 movie starring Sylvester Stallone. And we're going to have our co-host join us right now. It is Spencer Griffin. Let me get him in here and get him off mute so that he can talk freely. And join us for today's conversation. Hey, Spencer, can you?
Hey, how you doing? I noticed you've got some new stuff going on. I'm digging it.
Yeah, we're trying some different things here. I already see some things that I hate as they're going. But yeah, I messed up my whatever platform I was using before, and I was like, I'll take this as an opportunity to improve some things, and you can see my entire screen in my glasses. That's pretty new that you couldn't tell before. What's on the VHS in the background? I didn't have any Stallone movies on VHS. I was like, let me just put on an action movie because this is an action movie. I don't own Die Hard. I don't own anything that's very similar to this. So I was like, I don't own Point Break, the new Point Break either on VHS. So I put on Mission Impossible just because.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
That seems fitting.
I was like, this is fun. It was between that and The Professional, and then I was like, if I do this next year, I think The Professional came out in 1994, so I don't want to, I don't want to spoil it. So by having
I
that,
just
on
gotta
the
say,
back
I'm really digging the chat popping up down there. I know we practiced the other day and it looked a little different, but I like what you did with it.
yeah, I already have to improve something. Yeah, I hate that it's white and it keeps showing it.
See, I don't mind that because
Okay.
it's outlined in black. So I mean,
I guess
I
that
feel like
makes
we can
sense.
still see it.
You can still see it. You can still tell. Well, welcome in everybody. I'm glad that you're here. White on white, exactly. Oh gosh, what a way to start.
Here we go.
Here we go. We're talking Cliffhanger, which is a lot of white on white.
Yeah.
It's a lot of white people in some snow. and some. I hate this. I hate it already.
We got a token in there.
We got a token in here.
We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So we're talking about 1993's Cliffhanger. It came out May 28th, 1993. That's the same weekend as Super Mario Brothers. Unfortunately for Super Mario Brothers, this movie kind of dominated the box office. It was directed by Rennie Harlin, who I believe up until this point had had directed movies like Die Hard 2. That's why I referenced Die Hard earlier. And the I think it's the Dream Warriors Friday the 13th movie, or not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors. I think it's that one. And if it is that one, that one's incredible. If you haven't seen, if you're a fan of any of those movies or like to laugh, Dream Warriors is amazing. So please check that out. It was written by Michael France and Sylvester Stallone. And one of the things that pops up in the credits that I noticed, and maybe you noticed, is that it was based on a premise by John Long. And I think there was some stuff in there about who got writing credit, and like 4 other guys had this exact same script apparently, and they had to share some of the writing credits with them. So that's a little fun tag there at the beginning. This movie stars Rocky Rambo himself. Sylvester Stallone is the character Gabe Walker. It has John Lithgow in it, or Lithgow. I think that's how we're going to pronounce it. As Eric Quaylen, Michael Rooker, Hal Tucker as Hal Tucker, Janine Turner as Jesse Dagan, and Rex Lynn as Richard Travers. Those are like the 5 central characters here. We've also got some a lot. I mean, there's a lot of guys in this movie that you're like, hey, that guy's from that movie, or that guy's from that movie. One that I will talk about that is going to show up in a later movie this year is Leon. His name is just simply Leon. He will be in Cool Runnings later this year, so that one's going to be a fun one.
No way.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't look that one up.
I didn't oh shoot, I did not even notice that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I didn't do like a ton of research on this, and I don't know why, but for this film I just didn't.
Yeah.
Wow. I cannot believe that's him.
Yeah.
Okay. That just blew my mind.
Right?
I did not know. Oh my god.
So another fun little guest appearance in here, or not guest appearance, but somebody that you might recognize if you're a fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, is Gregory Scott Cummins, who he's just kind of like a token bad guy in this movie, just one of the expendable ones. That is Mac's dad from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When he was on there, I was like, no way, it's that guy.
I didn't think he was in anything else other than It's Always Sunny.
Yeah, same. I didn't realize that he was an actual actor that did things.
So funny.
And then Caroline Goodall, I forget her character's name in this movie. Crystal. She, you've probably seen her in some other. I think I was watching this earlier, and I was watching it with Alyssa earlier, and she said that that's the mom from Princess Diaries. I recognized her as Peter Banning's wife from Hook.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I recognize her from. There's some other guys in this that I didn't write down their names, but those were the three that I was like, hey,
I'm
those
surprised
people.
you didn't say Travers.
Travers?
But, I mean, I guess since he's the main guy,
He's a main guy.
It's different.
That guy, I feel like, plays a cop and has a mustache for
He does.
every movie he's ever been in. So let's go ahead and give you a synopsis. If you've never seen Cliffhanger before, here's a synopsis. Google says that it is an outdoor thriller in which a former mountain rescuer is pitted against a group of criminals who have lost their $100 million stash during a plane crash in the Rocky Mountains. After being persuaded to help rescue a group of stranded hikers, he discovers that they are in fact a gang of violent robbers who need help to locate their missing loot. This movie had a budget of $70 million and a box office return of $255 million. Rotten Tomatoes has this as a score of 67%, and IMDb has this as a score of 6.5. I'm going to look up something real quick because I'm pretty sure this is definitely one of the top 25 movies of this year. In 1993, and I'd like to see where it was for this.
I was so while you research that, I was looking at a few things just right before we went live because I failed to do the research. But I was surprised to see that it actually got nominated, and I know you hate this. But it got nominated for some Razzies, and I was really shocked.
What Razzies did it get nominated for?
Let me see if I can find it again.
Yeah.
It was like, one of them was like Worst Picture.
Really?
Which I thought that was just insanely
Did
hard.
they see Super Mario Brothers?
Clearly not.
This movie, by the way, was I think, for 1993 movies, I think it was 9th or 10th on the box office this year. So this is kind of, I want to say, because of the date that this came out, I mean, May 28th, this is the start of summer blockbusters
that makes
for
sense.
this year.
I thought that was a really high box office.
Oh, yeah.
But now that you say that makes a lot of sense. So the Razzies were, Worst Picture, Worst Supporting, and this one is the one that made me most irritated. Worst Supporting Actor with John Lithgow, and I thought he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I guess we haven't gotten into it, but I
thought he was fun.
Yeah, that Razzie I can't see, and then of course Worst Supporting Actress and Worst Screenplay. The actress is, I see that a little bit. Worst Screenplay though. As well.
I don't think she's even best. I think are they talking about Janine Turner?
Yeah.
I don't think she has enough impact to even be Worst Actress.
I agree. She's not great, but she doesn't. I agree.
There is a scene where I'm like,
it's not Razzie worthy.
There's a scene where she's like, ah, and it's so bad.
But on the flip side, though, it did win some. Well, it won like one award, and then it was nominated for a lot of others. So I guess it's kind of really. I mean, obviously, this whole field is subjective. So,
yeah.
It depends on who's watching it and how they feel.
I think this is a movie, and I've said this. I mean, I'm not the only one that said this. This is not an original thought by me, but there needs to be a stunt category at the Oscars. Like, I think it's a travesty that there's no stunt performance or to recognize the stunt people on these. Like, that is one thing that in my research, there's a ton of stuff about the stunts in this film. But, I mean, even today, you watch a movie like a John Wick or something like that, like fight choreography or stunt work, like those things need to be recognized, and I don't feel like they are. And this would have swept the awards, I think. Well, I mean, Jurassic Park's coming up, but there's a crazy stunt in this movie that is real. And we can talk about that. Yeah.
I'm interested to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I did look through some of the trivia. I don't maybe I didn't recall that one, but oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
there's a big
Okay.
stunt, and Roger
Yeah, you're
Ebert
right.
actually talks about it in his review, which I'll go ahead and read right now.
I was gonna say, let's get to those
Let's get
reviews.
to it. Roger says the credits mention a lot of stunt persons who deserve any credit that they can get because many of the most hazardous stunts in this movie were obviously not faked. That stuntman who makes the mid-air transfer between two planes deserves a gold medal. And at one point, we can clearly see that Stallone himself is dangling over a nightmarish fall. Movies like this are machines for involving us and thrilling us. Cliffhanger is a fairly good machine. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars.
That's his go-to. 3 out of 4.
He loves a good 3 out of 4. He's a 75% kind of guy.
I get it.
And then we have a negative review here because you always want to get the good with the bad. Sylvester Stallone's career seems to have plateaued with Cliffhanger, a predictably thick-headed, occasionally plotting bacchanalia of blood, grunts, and testosterone. Rita Kempley of the Washington Post. So she wrote this, and I think it's something to talk about here because at this point, Stallone is kind of not seen as a box office hit anymore. He had his Rockies, he's had his Rambos, and then he put out a couple of stinkers, like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. I don't know if you've ever heard of that movie. He plays a cop, and then Estelle Getty from the Golden Girls is his mom, and she just keeps getting into trouble or like goes along with him for the ride. That was one, and I can't remember what else, but he's kind of seen as like not a bankable movie star anymore at this point.
It's funny you bring that up because going into this movie, and I don't watch. I mean, I'm not a super well versed person when it comes to the movie world, and then I'm also not one that watches trailers or reads synopsis before I go into a movie. But I went into this not really caring for Stallone. Like I think I've seen some of his later stuff more than his earlier stuff, which obviously has an impact. But I always thought he was pretty overrated. And then I thought he did a good job in this, and it actually changed my mind a bit. And now it makes me want to go watch, like you said, the Rockies. I've seen some of the Rambo, not all of them, but it does kind of make me want to go back and watch that to see kind of his prime.
Yeah, I was gonna
So,
ask
yeah.
you if you that was gonna be one of the questions I had for you is just to ask you how if you were a Stallone guy, like even a Schwarzenegger guy or any like. I really am not. The action movies were not my cup of tea when I was younger. I did not watch any of these movies until I was much older.
Yeah. I wasn't. Yeah, I was gonna say that wasn't really my cup of tea either. And in fact, I went into this movie and I don't remember who I was describing this movie to somebody because I was like, "This is the upcoming movie. It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it," and then come to find out it's not him, and I was like, "Well, it shows that just all kind of ran together."
Yeah. I feel like these two guys were competing for a lot of the late 80s, early 90s for roles like this. And I don't know. I feel like I appreciate Stallone a lot more now. I don't love all the Rocky movies. I think Rocky 1 is really good. And I think some of the later, like I think Rocky Balboa, the sixth one, I think in it is good.
See, I
But
still need to watch those.
but yeah, I think there's some in there that aren't as good. I kind of like Stallone. I've seen a couple. Copland is a movie that sticks out to me, where he plays like this overweight older cop in this weird suburb or not suburb. Yeah, I think it is a suburb of like New York, or it's like in New Jersey or something like that. But basically, it's like a lot of dirty cops and stuff. It was really good. And like I like Stallone in that kind of role.
But tell me, like, why the hell he was in Spy Kids 3, and that's all that sticks in my mind.
You just love Robert Rodriguez.
Was he behind that?
Yeah, all the Spy Kids movies are done by Robert Rodriguez.
Dude, that's weird. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But that makes so much sense because when I was growing up, like Spy Kids was my jam, and now like going back and seeing how high I rated El Mariachi, like that might be my best friend.
You need to go through his entire
I gotta reach out.
filmography. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. You've blown my mind twice
We've
already.
just started.
We've just started.
We've not even begun yet. So,
We've not even begun to peak.
we have peak topical pun.
It is.
Nice. All right. When we get into the first scene of this movie, what's the very first thing that you thought of?
Okay. So a couple things. First of all, before we start, I want to say thank you, Vimeo. So Vimeo for the win on this movie, allowing me to watch. Second though, like, so I hadn't seen the movie, but I saw the first scene a long time ago, and uh, actually, that's funny that Joseph put that in the chat because I had actually seen Ace Ventura, Pet Detective before this movie, and I guess I didn't get the connection, obviously, because I hadn't seen this movie. But that scene made me sad in Ace Ventura. But no, so like a little bit after that though, um, they in high school, and God, I don't know why, and I could not understand. Maybe you can explain it because maybe it happened to you too. But in high school, they showed us this scene, and I don't know why, but it seems
They showed
super
you the Ace
messed up.
Ventura scene, or they showed
No,
you
no, 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 no,
this?
no. The cliffhanger scene of her uh, yeah. I don't know why you would show a bunch of kids like a scene like this. I feel like it had to have been. It feels like it was an English class. I think they were trying to show like how to start a story, basically like grabbing attention for your essay or something. But yeah, that's a reach because like thinking back on it now, it's like, what the hell was that about? But no, I this first scene, like it gripped me instantly. Like it was fantastic. I thought that like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, even now, because I know I'd already seen it and I knew what happened.
Yeah.
But it was just, I don't know. I thought it was very emotional. It was very, I don't know, just like I said, just on the edge and just really had your adrenaline going. And then the rest of the movie kind of followed that and kind of kept up with it, I thought.
Yeah. So, what I was leaning towards was the scene from Ace Ventura. I think it's When Nature Calls, because
Yeah, it's the raccoon.
it's the raccoon.
And that's what causes Ace to go into hiding
Yeah,
and meditate.
that's right.
I've seen it too much.
But I thought that I was sitting there watching that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is that Ace Ventura scene. That shouldn't be that way, but that's how I associate it, is that freaking raccoon.
I'm glad somebody else did.
Oh yeah. And I think I remember seeing this movie. If I have seen this movie, it was 30 years ago that I'd seen this movie, and obviously with the amount of F words in this movie are ridiculous. Like, and
it's not even that, it's the GDs too.
I didn't even notice the GDs through the Fs,
really?
because like
Yeah.
they say the F word so much and so unnecessary. That was like, and the way that I think it's Travers, he says it the most out of anybody, and it is insane how, like, why he's saying it so much. But yeah, this opening scene is parodied in Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, and it is a gripping scene. Though you get to meet everybody, you get to meet your three of your main cast: Michael Rooker and Janine Turner. Is that her name, Janine Turner? And Sylvester Stallone's character's there, and you can see already they're established, they're friends, they're pretty close, that they all work together as, I guess, what are they, Rocky Mountain?
Oh yeah, I have that Rocky Mountain
Rescue. I don't even know if that's a real thing.
I have an issue with it.
Okay, good, because I want to know. First off, why did he? Okay, Michael Rooker brings his girlfriend up here, and they have to rescue them. A rescuer needs rescued. He brings his inexperienced girlfriend. I don't even know how many dates they've been on. It seems like they've been together a while, though.
I don't know, because the way that Janine Turner like says, because later she does address that. She's like, it's his fault because he brought his girlfriend who she says who he barely knows. So I was thinking like,
But
maybe
Sylvester
they
Stallone
haven't been-
kisses her on the forehead as he like
That-
sends her on her way.
Bro, I wrote that down. I said this is a weird dynamic because who lets? No, it wasn't on the forehead. It was on the lips.
Oh, it was on the lips. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
And then they were talking to the helicopter pilot who was Janine Turner, and they were like,
Here.
"Uh-oh,
All right, go ahead and talk
I
again.
can't hear you."
There we go. It probably needs
no.
to cool down for a second. Let's see here. Can you hear me?
Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good. I can hear
Hello?
you fine.
Hello?
Technical difficulties. This is what happens whenever you do this is what happens when you do new things on your stream.
Oh goodness.
We're having fun here. Let me bring him back in and we'll talk about this. So let me kick him out and bring him back in. And we'll have him back in here to talk about this some more. So let's move him back to the queue and everything. So as we bring Spencer back in here, let's see if this changes some things. Again, I apologize to everybody. It is something that we're hopefully going to be working on. Can you hear me, Spencer? Still nothing. All right. Let's just remove him entirely and see if we can't just get him back here. All right. As we're getting him back here, has anybody else that's in the chat, have you all seen this movie or did you watch this movie before we get him back in here? Or can you guys hear me at all? Oh, okay, perfect. Good. So, yeah. Was this the first time that you'd seen this movie? You saw it years ago. Okay. Let's see if we can get him in here. I'm on the... Never heard of it before this year, let alone watched it. I can hear you. Big delay, though. Great. Can you hear me, Spencer? Let's just end this and restart it. And this is why I should never change anything, ever. It's like I kissed him and let him... Yeah, this is exactly what happened. I kissed Spencer on the lips, and then I sent him out on the line. And who knew that his climbing gear, or my climbing gear, was faulty, and he's falling to his death right now. So let's see if we can't get him back in here. That buckle was it's like you can't that buckle was garbage though. I mean, it looked like it was made of plastic, honestly. It looked I don't even know. It just like disintegrated. And you think he would have checked that before then. Spencer, are you back? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Nice. There we go.
Oh.
He's back, everybody. Sorry about that. That's probably on my side if I'm being completely honest. New system. It only makes sense that all this happens. I think I'm still probably delayed for them, but as long as you can hear me, that's all that matters.
It's true. I'm sad. I fell down.
I am
Fell to my
super
death,
delayed.
but I'm back. Oh, jeez.
That's good. All right. But okay. So just talking about whether or not Hal knew this girl or not. It's debatable how well. But still, like, why do you bring your girlfriend up there?
Yeah, that honestly that pissed me off like the entire time. I thought because Hal was like really an asshole throughout this entire movie, to be honest, and I was like,
Mhm.
bro, like this whole thing is your fault because you shouldn't have brought her up there.
Yeah, if she's never climbed before, one, good for her. If she's an inexperienced climber and she made it up to the top of that tower thing, whatever, good for her.
That's true.
She's a
yeah.
keeper. You would never catch me doing that at all. Okay, so this lady dies. She falls to her death. And then we get an 8 months later thing where I guess Gabe just leaves. And this bothered me. He comes back to gather his things and to take Jessie. Is she his wife?
Okay.
With him?
So this
And she's like, and she says
this
no.
scene bothered me more than anything, and it was the geographical nerd in me. So you know that I like to play a little game called GeoGuessr a lot, and so whenever I saw this scene, like this is the first time that you've seen him since the incident, and he's driving down the road, and behind him are a bunch of bollards with like specific markings on them, like black bollards with white in the middle, and then a white and black arrow sign to turn left. And then they pull up to the gas station, and it's got a certain currency on it and kilometers on it. And so I wrote this down. I was like, so like he said he was working in Denver, and they call themselves like Rocky Mountain Rescue, but the bollards and road signs suggest he's somewhere like in Italy. And then I looked it up to see where where it was filmed. It turns out it was filmed in the Dolomites in Italy, and I was like, this pisses me off because obviously this is not Colorado.
But isn't it filmed in like certain? Isn't part of it filmed in Colorado?
Part of it's filmed, I think very little is filmed in Colorado as well as Utah. I could be wrong, but most of it was
Utah,
filmed
yeah.
in Europe, in Italy. So I was like, you can't play this off because it looked very Italian, and even the car he was driving like didn't look American.
That's crazy. I did not look that up, and you are insanely nerdy about knowing that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so somebody did look it up. Jessie is his girlfriend. He's wearing a ring on his left finger, on his left hand. So that, I was like, this dude's married to her. He blames himself for the death of that girl that he barely knows, but still kissed on the lips. And Hal blames him. We get this whole scene. We get a scene. We get this scene, I think, later around this time where they're at the ranger station or whatever, and we meet Frank, who's the helicopter pilot, and he's like painting. He's painting on glass, I think, and he's painting a banana eating a monkey, which I thought was pretty insane.
That was really wild. Yeah, at first I thought this guy, and this is just my sheer ignorance. At first I thought this was a Full Metal Jacket guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Arlie Ermy, the like.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
But turns out it's not him. So that's all I have to add to this scene.
That's a bummer. That's the only thing I wanted to point out from the scene. And then we I'm skipping ahead now to the Treasury plane heist because there's like some other boring Denver Mint stuff here that I'm just like I'm confused about. They're printing money and they have $100 million, and the only way that they can do it is by air because I don't even know what they're doing with the money, but they're taking it by air. And I wrote down somebody says nobody touches a flight. Nobody hijacks a flight. They just don't do it. And I said that didn't end well. Yeah. So we get this whole Treasury plane heist scene, which is the most expensive stunt in movie history, I'm pretty sure. That is one thing that I did write down. I think this stunt cost $1 million, over $1 million. They paid the stuntman $1 million to really cross between two airplanes at 15,000 feet. There's no trick photography, no safety devices or anything like that. Sylvester Stallone had to reduce his own fee just so the movie could be made, so that this stunt could be in the movie. And this one was filmed in the United States because this stunt would be illegal in Europe, where most of the film was shot. I should have read that. So yeah, this scene is insane. Mostly because I thought, honestly, that this was somehow there was something. It looked a little off to me during this whole scene. But basically, there's a big plane, and then there's a smaller plane like following it, and they like hook up to each other with basically a like wire, and that's it. And one guy transports himself from one plane to the other, and then they, send the 3 boxes filled with cash over to the other one too. One thing during this scene, everybody's killing everybody in this. The Treasury guy who's turning on the Treasury shoots everybody on the plane. He has a pilot that's in on this too, and the pilot turns to the co-pilot, shoots him in the head, and like gives him the weirdest look ever. He's just like, like, the scene's, I mean, it's insane because of the stunts and everything, but like the interactions between these people it went from like 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, so this one actually, I mentioned earlier I don't ever watch like trailers or read synopses of films because I like to be surprised. Like I like to know kind of as little about a film as possible going in. Well, this was part of it. This was kind of relates to that because I really was shocked whenever the plane heist scene happened because I assumed like Cliffhanger. I thought like this is gonna be about mountain climbing, like that's about it. But then like dudes start shooting each other, and I really enjoyed the hijacking scene. Like you said, the wire to wire plane. I thought that was super original. Maybe it's not. I could be corrected, but it seemed like that was a really original idea. Like pulling yourself over to that other plane with a wire, and then also putting all those cases of money to do the same. I thought that was super original, and it caught me off guard. But I was really impressed because I had never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that I can think of, and I'm admitting something here that I've never seen Point Break, so I don't sue me. But they might do something like this in that movie. But there's a similar stunt in The Dark Knight Rises. Obviously, that's been done in the last like 10, 15 years. But at the very beginning of that movie with Bane, there's like there's an entire scene where they're, going from plane to plane in that one, and like they blow up part of the plane. I think it's very similar, but I guarantee it's real because it's Christopher Nolan and he has to do things real like that all the time.
Yeah, now that I'm trying to think about it, like I watched Dark Knight Rises. I've only seen it once though, so but that doesn't That didn't stick out to me. Somebody in the chat said that there feels
The
like
thing that
there
sticks
has
out
to
in that
be.
movie.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, this delay is fucked.
Oh no, the thing that sticks out in the in Dark Knight Rises is that Bane kills all of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is one of the best moments in cinematic history.
You're not wrong.
I knew that you, as a Baltimore Ravens fan, would appreciate that. So, yeah. So somebody in chat says, "I feel like there has to be an easier way to transfer the money between the planes." I agree. There has to be. Like, we just put it on a line and just slip it on over to the other one. I don't know. I just felt like there was an easier way.
I felt like that was fine. I thought that was a reasonable way.
Well, I just felt like, why do we need to crash? Why do we need to have two planes in the first place? I get they're trying to like get away on their own separate plane, which is bizarre. Why would the FFA or FAA, sorry, not the FFA, the FAA would have to know that there's another plane in the air.
Yeah.
And
so
also, if you see anything
like,
in the chat that says you can ban her, that's fine.
Oh, oh my God! I cannot believe you didn't tell me she was a Steelers fan. This changes a lot of things.
I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to talk about it.
That's gross. Okay, but no. So yeah, it's funny because I just watched the Netflix documentary on MH370, and you're right. Like FAA would know. Like there's another plane in the air, everything like that. But no, I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe in 1993 is not the same as it is now because that's pre 9/11. So maybe they would be able to get away with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like this is a really elaborate plan for something that I think could have been way easier.
Oh, for sure. Also, I felt like, and just not to jump ahead too much, but I felt like the landing was kind of bullshit, but I don't know enough about planes to dispute it. So maybe.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to go in here for realistic or anything like that. I was just like, this is a little overdone the way that they did it. I don't know.
Okay, I could see that.
Well, anyway, they crash the plane and they're stuck. No, I was just going to say they crash the plane and they're stuck in the Rocky Mountains. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, I did really like the line of the pilot that said, she had said, "We need insulin," after they did crash. And I thought that was a really good lie.
Oh, yeah. And John Lithgow was really impressed with that lie as well. He was like, could you have done this? Could you have made that up to get these people up here so that we get a helicopter? Yeah, so the thieves pretend to be stranded to get a helicopter, but it's storming. So Gabe and Hal go up instead and are, captured once they get up there. We don't see the capture at all. We also see Hal climbing, and then all of a sudden Gabe is just there, like waiting on him, which I thought was kind of funny. And you can tell that they just hate each other.
Yeah, so this was like the beginning of me hating Hal, because I thought, like, why are you such a shit friend? Because he did everything he could. In fact, like, he held on for a lot longer than I definitely could have. I forgot how friggin' jacked Stallone used to be. But I was like, it's your fault for climbing with her. Don't be mad at Gabe.
Yeah, you're right. It just I don't know. I don't hate Hal. He's probably got his own demons, There's a lot of like mental health stuff in this movie that needs to be addressed. There's probably some PTSD going on here. There's probably some depression. Like, yeah, there's a lot going on here. That needs to probably be talked about after the end of this movie. Anyway, the thieves kidnap essentially Hal and Gabe, and they use them to find the cases because they're experienced climbers, and they're going to need climbers to help get some of these cases of money that they're throwing. So they find that first case, and they send Gabe up to go get it, and they want him to send it down. And I guess they let Hal know that they're gonna kill their friend, and so Hal like screams up not to come down.
Okay.
And so these thieves shoot and cause an avalanche. And Gabe, in that split second's like, I'm faking my death, and I'm gonna throw it over the edge. So all that money's gone.
Dude, so there's a couple of things about this scene that, well, first of all, one of them is kind of foreshadowing, but the other one is there was one shot that I really liked. It was like, it was beautiful. They showed, I want to say it was, I don't know, whoever was on the bottom part. So they showed them, and then they kind of panned up to Stallone, like where he was. I just thought that was a really beautiful shot, especially for the time. I was really impressed with that, and I think it was before the avalanche. And then though, like Hal yelling out at him, dude, this is Hal getting again on my shit list because Hal keeps basically putting everybody else in danger by yelling out and saying "you're gonna die" or whatever he says. Like it's got to be like one of 5 times during this movie that he does that, and it pisses me off every time.
I love Hal. Hal gets a great scene later that I want to talk about.
I'm mad at Hal, and I'm mad that all of these cases are on peaks.
Not all of them. Isn't one of them like just on the ground somewhere?
I think it's. I
mean,
don't know.
they're
Maybe
all
it's
in the
on
mountains,
ground on
so
a peak.
I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I don't want to get into the peak talk of it. The second catch. So Gabe's alive, and he goes after. I don't know. Oh, I guess he kind of knows the area of all 3 cases. So it's like a race to beat the thieves to the next case, and he also he finds Jesse, who's at this cabin up there. They find the second cache, or the second case there. And this is and this is another thing that'll piss people off. I've never seen Die Hard, but this is a very Die Hard-esque scene where they build a snowman and put the tracker in the snowman with the empty case of money with one $1,000 bill that says want to trade on it. It's very reminiscent of the ho ho ho, I've got a machine gun scene from Die Hard.
Dude, I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like you're jumping really far ahead as far as that scene goes.
How? I mean, I'm just going over scenes that I think are important. I'm not trying to go scene by scene here.
Well, okay. Well, I think I did. I think
what did I
that's
miss?
What I did. Oh, no. I'm wrong. I said Scary Snowman was cool as hell. So I guess the only thing between that and now, as I said, there was another really beautiful pull-out shot they had of Stallone. I think it was when, after he faked his death, he was going up the mountain face, and they had a really cool pull-out shot. There's a lot of really beautiful scenic shots in this movie.
Yeah. You would love a pull-out shot of Stallone.
Yeah, well, you know.
Your mother's here. So this also leads to a really great scene with the second case. That's how I kind of determine. I'm like, first case scene, second case scene, third case scene. The second case scene leads to a night vision, like Mac's dad puts on the night vision goggles and searches for Jesse and Gabe during this time, and he finds them and shoots at them, and somehow like they get into this fight, and all of a sudden start sliding down the mountain on each, or Gabe is sliding down the mountain on this bad guy, and it's very reminiscent of last week's Super Mario Brothers, where they're going down the ice tube, and the guy is on the Goomba. It's very similar in those regards.
Yeah, I thought
What'd you
the
think of
night
that scene?
vision, the night vision had to be like, I understood because so like a lot of movies, I feel like, oh damn, like they're a horrible shot. Like how are you not shooting this guy? It's not very realistic. But I feel like with the night vision, it would be super hard because you can't look through night vision and your scope at the same time. So I thought that part like was pretty accurate, and I don't know that just I'm a gun guy, so I like guns. I have guns. I shoot guns, and I thought that was pretty realistic because with the night vision, like it makes sense because you have to hip fire that, and that's not going to be very accurate, and especially from that distance. I thought it was good thinking on the flare to shine right in his face with the night vision. I thought that was really cool and really clever, clever writing. And then he made the guy's face into a meat crayon, so that was fun.
I did like that he shoved his face down into the snow and just like as he was sliding down, just peels off the all that. I thought that was a really nice touch. I'm glad we're talking about guns on here. The the other part, in this scene, I guess after it's all said and done, they get away. They have that money. They use the money to stay warm. So he creates a fire by burning up all those $1,000 bills, and each one of those I think is $100. I think it's $100,000 in each of those little things of money. I forget what those are called, but yeah. He has a great line here too. Let me see if I have it written down.
That was one of my favorite lines. Is he said, "It cost a fortune to heat this place."
Yeah, that's it. Just I love these little quips in this very serious movie. They're not out of place. It's just I don't know. I felt like it was pretty funny.
And along the way, here, like I felt like there are some scenes we're not covering because they're not important. But there was some scenes with a couple of hippie guys that keep talking to him and like being friends with Stallone, and I wrote down like I keep waiting for the hippies to be relevant because surely somewhere in this movie they're going to be relevant.
They hate work though. Don't even say that word. It's a great. That's a great line I have written down from the hippies that he meets, or the stoners is what I wrote them down as. So from the second case scene, now it's a race to get to the third one. This is where the stoners reappear, and one of them is murdered, and then the other escapes after being shot, but does a cliff or base jump and survives, which I thought was pretty awesome.
You know why they got murdered though, right? Because Hal friggin' yelled out at them to run. Hal keeps getting everybody killed. This is the second instance he's gotten somebody in danger because he yelled out.
I disagree. I think that he actually saves a life here because one of them gets away. They were going to kill him regardless. Do you see what John Lithgow did the rest of this movie? No mercy. He was going to kill these kids.
Maybe. I don't know. It seems like they could have played it cool and been like, hey, like all he was doing was saying, hey, what's up? Like they was about to go off anyway. So it would have been like, hey, what's up? How y'all doing? And I don't remember what the hippie said. They were like, yeah, like this sucks or whatever. We had to stay in Tent City is what they said. And they were about to jump off the cliff anyway and go, whatever, free base jumping or whatever the hell that's called. But then Hal was like, run!
I think it's just called base jumping.
Oh no.
Yeah. Free basing is a completely different thing.
Listen, sorry.
This guy loves guns and free basing, guys.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. He's good at that. Frank comes in sometime and flies the helicopter up here during this whole scene. He flies the helicopter. He saves one of the stoners, the one that's caught in the tree after base jumping, and then I think he's gonna come back, and he sees. I don't know if it's during the scene or maybe the cave scene. This all is kind of muddled for me. I just watched this movie, but it all seems to happen around the same time. There's a cave scene. There's a helicopter scene. I think the cave scene happens first, and I forgot to delete it in my notes.
Yeah, I think because Stallone says that they have to crawl through that like crack, and I put that like absolutely not. I would not do that because that is way too claustrophobic. And then right after I wrote that, like the bats happened, and I was like, yeah, double no.
No, this movie has like a lot of my great fears: heights, tight spaces. I'm okay with bats. I don't think I'd like them like flapping around me, but I'm all right with bats. They have a purpose.
I gotta pull a Joseph, and I'll be right back because I gotta pee. So try to get the get the chat involved somehow.
I love this. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and talk about the fight scene. And the guy from Cool Runnings goes into the cave to fight Stallone here, and he calls the main girl a bitch like 5 times, and it's really uncomfortable every time he does it. I don't know. Again, a lot of unnecessary. I'm not a prude when it comes to language here, but a lot of unnecessary language in this that I just feel like they added in to make sure that it got an R rating. I mean, it pays off. This is a box office success, but yeah, it's pretty crazy here. But yeah, we get in this fight scene with Gabe, and Kynetter Kynet, I think is his name. And it ends with him getting impaled on a stalactite. I had to look that up to make sure that it was not a stalagmite. Instead, it was a stalactite because those are the ones that come from above. And he just picks him up by his balls and shoves him up into that stalactite. It was incredible. You know where we're at now? You're back?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I have a quote actually here. One right before he
Give
dies,
it to me.
I can't remember the whatever her name is, Stallone's girlfriend, picks up his gun,
Jesse.
and she starts like trying to shoot, and it just clicks, and the guy goes, "No bullets, bitch," and I don't know why, it just made me laugh really hard.
Yeah. Okay, so while you were gone, I said there's a lot of unnecessary bitches being thrown around in this scene.
I thought that one was good. I like that one.
That's the best one. He calls her a bitch like 3 more times, and I'm just so uncomfortable by it.
Yeah, so his death though was super cool, like death by stalactites, super cool. I thought that, and I might be looking into this just a little bit too much, but I felt like I hated how like stereotypical they made his character. I felt like they made it a little too, I don't know, a little too much. I thought as the only African American actor in the film, they could have probably made him not so stereotypical.
I can get on board with that. He wasn't a well fleshed out character or anything, and sometimes in these movies they have like these guys all have like an expertise or something, and none of the guys have like an expertise thing. So thank you. I could not remember that mnemonic device or whatever. Stalactites have to hold on tight. Stalagmites might reach the top one day. I knew there was something. I could never remember it though. So it wasn't a very good mnemonic device.
So another, I do have.
I'll never forget it now though.
That so I thought, I might be switching scenes just a little early here, they go back to the quote unquote bad guys, and they go back to the pilot, the woman pilot. Her name's, I think, Kristen is what we said. It
Crystal.
I don't know if I am reading too much into this or if maybe I'm mishearing or something. I could have swore she was British at the beginning, and then she switches to American, and then like back and forth a lot. But I don't know much about the actress either.
Well, I think she's British. I think she's British. And I felt like she was British the whole time.
You think she's British the whole time?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
No?
maybe it's on purpose that she's trying to do, like she's trying to. I don't know. That was very lost on me. I kept hearing different accents from her.
Okay. Well, she doesn't matter anyway.
No, she doesn't. Also, I have a note here that basically I don't know why this note is here. But apparently Hal may have warned somebody else, and how have they not killed him yet? Is what I put.
Oh, no. Hal warned, or I think tries to warn Frank. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So that's strike 3 for Hal.
Yeah, Frank flies the helicopter and he's trying to what appears to be saving a person, and it's a trap and just gets annihilated. Poor
Hal
Frank,
needs
the
to shut
artist.
his mouth, dude. He's getting everybody killed.
He's killed here, and the Crystal or whatever her name is, she gets killed in this scene too. Because Travers, who we haven't talked about much, he just keeps saying the F word over and over again. He's like, "Oh, you can't do this without me. I'm the only one that can track these people." And he's like, "I guess she can fly the helicopter," and so John Lithgow's character uses that as leverage, kills her, and is like, "I can fly the helicopter, but I'm not taking you unless you get this stuff for me." So you're trapped, buddy.
So, I really think that at this point, I put that I thought John Lithgow was doing a really good job as being like the bad guy, because everything that I had ever seen with John Lithgow has not been the case. But this movie, I thought he did a really good job at it. And then after this, I don't remember the character that got killed. Hal and another character are kind of in combat here, and I have a comment on the death.
Delmar. That's my next scene to talk about is the Hal and Delmar fight scene, because I think it's awesome.
Do you
But
think
you
it's
go
awesome
ahead.
or you think it's terrible?
No, I love it.
Oh, okay. Well, I hate it because when when it ended, like the dude grabbed like his gun, and I don't remember if it was a shotgun or like I think it was a shotgun, but he like shot him in the chest with a shotgun, and the guy like immediately dove forward off the mountain, and I was like, really?
I don't know. I've never been shot by a shotgun before. Anyway, my favorite part of the scene is that Delmar is told to kill Hal silently, and so he's not going to use a gun to do it. And instead, he just is trying to kick him to death, and he's also explaining to him about like soccer and how he was a striker. And I thought that was completely out of nowhere, but I loved it so much. And then when Hal gets the best of him, because he gets a knife off Frank during that whole death scene, he he slices his leg and trips him, and then grabs his gun, and before shooting, he says, "Season's over," and shoots him, and then he falls off the cliff. I loved it.
I
loved the
totally
whole thing.
forgotten about the soccer stuff. Yeah, you bring up a really good point because that was pretty amazing. I did like that.
Yeah. Gabe does make it to the third case before them, and he decides to put it on a rabbit. And I don't know how he caught the rabbit.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really considered that.
Okay. One, the timing of these things, like it takes. I'm not doubting his ability to catch a rabbit. It probably took him a while to catch a rabbit in real life. And then another thing, the climbing that they do in this movie, like the hiking and climbing, like I don't think there's any kind of realistic timing of where they get to certain points and everything, because especially at the end of the movie, because that guy is just at the peak of some tower immediately. There's some of that. It's still a fun movie. I had a lot of fun watching this
Well,
movie.
but they don't like explain the timing either. Like you don't know how much time's passed, so I guess we can't really judge that, right?
Right. It just seems really quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. But then we jump to like the scene with was it him and who was it? Bro, I'm blanking
Travers?
on the yeah, Travers and the bridge and the water, and that just made me cold just like watching it.
Yeah. He takes off his shirt and he gets into the ice river, and he's like underneath the ice. And then he shoots Travers through the ice, very clear ice. Ice does not do that. It's not that clear. Um, and shoots him with a bolt gun, which he's been using throughout the movie. That bolt gun he uses to like put. I'm not a climber, but he's using those to like instead of drilling in for hooks and stuff, they just use that bolt gun. My big problem with this scene was how confusing it was that Hal showed up at the end. And he was like there right after Gabe shoots him through the ice. It's immediately Hal is there. I thought that was really
Bro,
weird.
that's
It was confusing enough to where I was like, wait a minute, did he shoot him or did Gabe shoot him? I didn't know for a second.
yeah, that's like every movie though, like because anytime my wife and I are watching a movie, it's like every time somebody dies, it's like right after the cops show up. It's kind of like that. It's weird. It's I think it's just kind of
Yeah.
a movie trope. Like every time somebody dies, somebody shows up, just like oh, just in time.
Yeah. And then we end the movie with basically a Mexican standoff. I don't know if that term is still good to use, but in this scenario, it's Quaylen and Gabe. Quaylen has kidnapped Jesse in the helicopter, and he wants to give her up for an exchange of the money that Gabe still has. And so this scene was like very tense, but also not at the same time because he's Quaylen's in the helicopter and Gabe's like, drop her over there, and it takes like it feels like 5 minutes for her to get down from the helicopter, and then he's like, run away now, like go run away. And I don't know how they think this exchange is gonna go because like I guess he wants Gabe to throw the money into the helicopter first try, and instead Gabe throws the money into the helicopter's rotor, and the helicopter crashes. There's this whole scene. He's like hanging onto a ladder. It's not as good as some of the other parts of the scene, but it was still pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was a bit irritated. The only part of that one, wow, I'd say the only part, but a lot of it. First of all, I thought he had put probably something else in the bag other than money. I'd assumed he put like explosives or something in there, but he didn't, obviously. Um, and then obviously the latter part is pretty ridiculous. But the part I had a problem with was the fact that like the helicopter like swung and like hit the side of the rock face and like didn't explode at all. It just kind of like I don't know. It just like it was there, and so then they were fighting on it, and then and I'll go ahead and say it like after they were fighting, like the helicopter slipped off, and then the explosion after that, once the helicopter finally did hit the ground, was hilarious because it just looked like I don't know, it looked really fake compared to some of the other stuff in the movie, and it made me laugh.
No, I agree. That is the strongest ladder on the side of a cliff face too. Like half of it gets torn off, but the remaining half is just holding onto this helicopter. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. That helicopter exploding at the bottom reminded me of Groundhog Day. Whenever he goes off the cliff with the groundhog, I thought that was kind of reminiscent there. But then we just get. Nobody's got any money here. We've got Jesse, we've got Gabe and Hal, and they're all just having a good time at the top of this mountain. And then all of a sudden, the Treasury agents who had stupid scenes throughout this whole movie are just show up in a helicopter, and they're like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "We're good guys." And then the movie credits roll. They're all laughing and having a good time. Everybody's forgotten about Hal's girlfriend that he met the night before and chose to climb with.
Dude, the speed of which this ended was incredible because they were just like, yeah, hang on tight and we'll send some help. And then credits roll. I was like, no, they're joking, right?
That's it. I think we're used to some other things in movies now to where I felt like this was a common thing that happened in the 90s. It was just like, the story's over, guys. Go home. Like, that's where it ends.
That makes sense. Like, I don't even mind.
And I think that's just,
to be honest, I think we've gotten kind of conditioned to.
I don't
like stick around and wait for the end of the credits because we're like, that can't be it. Like some other stuff had to have happened. But I mean, I did think this was a little bit abrupt. I think we could have used a little bit of follow up. But I get what you're saying. Like, it is kind of a time thing.
Yeah, I do think this is a 90s thing. So I've got a lot of quotes written down here. I'd love for you to go through yours, though, and see if we have some things matching up.
I don't think we do because I think we've already gone through mine. The only other quote that I have
okay.
I wrote down because I said no bullets, bitch. Cost a fortune to heat this place. The only other one was, and then we need insulin. I said, the other one was when Travers said, "Don't use my name." I don't know why I always laugh because every time I'm on Twitch, like in a chat room, and or like somebody I know, and they use my name, I'm always like, "Don't use my name."
Well, that's a good point, Spencer.
Thanks.
I've got some other quotes. Quaylen says, somebody's asking him what's in the cases. He goes, "Oh, suits, socks, $100 million, the usual stuff." Thought that was a good line. I feel like Quaylen has the majority of my quotes here. At the end of this movie, Hal says, "If you're looking for Quaylen, try about 4,000 feet south of here. He'll be the one wearing the helicopter." That's a good line.
That one was good. I should have wrote that one down.
I've got Quaylen again here. He's watching Crystal assemble the bomb. He says, "You'll make a good wife for someone one day." And she says, "You should see me bake a cake." That's good.
I didn't get
Quaylen
that.
says, "Kill a few people." You don't get that line? "You should see me bake a cake"?
What?
She's making a bomb and...
I guess it just wasn't as good. I guess I just don't think it was as good as you did.
I thought it was a good line. Quaylen says, "Kill a few people. They call you a murderer. Kill 1,000,000 and you're a conqueror." That's pretty deep. Quaylen and Gabe, I love this exchange. "I must say, you're a real piece of work." And then Gabe replies, "I must say, you're a real piece of shit." I like it. These are all head bubs.
That one
yeah,
seems
yeah.
very like Chevy Chase.
Yeah, it does. That's a very good Fletch line. Hal says, "You son of a bitch, you said you wouldn't kill him," talking about the base jumpers. And then Quaylen just replies, "Sue me." I thought that was a totally 90s thing to say, is "sue me." And then I'll go back to the very beginning of this movie when Gabe, who is having a full-on conversation with these base jumpers, the stoners, having a full-on normal level of, like, not just a normal conversation side by side in two cars at this, like, a very calm volume, like a very low volume. And Gabe's like, "I've been working up in Denver." And one of the base jumpers says, "Work? Don't say that word, man." And then the other one says, "Man, I hate work, even when somebody else is doing it." I thought that was pretty great.
Damn, you remember
So that's
some,
going to be
like,
my motto from
major
here on out.
quotes that I didn't.
Those are some good ones. All right. Do you have any other quote? You said you didn't have any other quotes.
No.
No. Okay. Couple things that I'll add. We already talked about the. This is in the Guinness Book of World Records for the costliest aerial stunt ever performed. Already talked about that. I have some other fun facts here. Sneak preview audiences saw a scene where a rabbit gets killed by gunfire. That reaction was so strong that Sylvester Stallone invested $100,000 of his own money to have that scene reshot so that the rabbit lived. Thought that was pretty cool.
And you bring that up like that. To go back to the previous point, like that's not the only. I guess if you think about it, that's not the only amount of money like Stallone spent to get this film made because of the stuntman. You said he paid his own, or he cut his own by $1,000 so the stuntman can do it. And not only that, like, because of that scene that you're talking about between the planes, as well as some other scenes in this, I feel like this is one of the more dangerous movies that has been made ever because the guy that was going between the planes did it without any aid of safety devices or trick photography or anything like that. Like he could have easily died. Like this could have been Cliffhanger.
Yeah,
like in
the
real life.
studio or insurance company wouldn't insure that stunt, so that's why Stallone had to give his own, like, take some cuts so that they could get this done. There was a sequel that was planned for this movie called The Dam, and it was basically going to be, this is Die Hard on a mountain. The next one was called The Dam. It was going to take place in the Hoover Dam, and it was going to be Die Hard in Hoover Dam with the same characters. Sylvester Stallone took this project on to help him conquer his fear of heights. To demonstrate his faith in the safety equipment, the director put on a harness and flung himself out on a cable over a cliff. So that's some Tom Cruise stuff there. During one climbing scene, the director complained that the safety lines were visible, so the stuntman just performed that climbing without any safety lines. It's pretty awesome. In the credits, there's a message that explains that the black diamond harness that was used in the opening scene was specifically modified so that it would fail.
I think
So
that's one of my
bet they had to
favorites
do this
because
on
I
purpose.
understand, like, because I work in like marketing and stuff, so I understand like where showing this would be like everybody would be like freaking out thinking I can't use that harness because I'm gonna end up like Cliffhanger, and they had to be like, oh well, we did that on purpose.
Yeah. Christopher Walken was originally cast as Quaylen, but left the production before filming began. So John Lithgow was cast at the last minute. The stuffed puppy that falls off the cliff in the beginning scene was not scripted, but was added at the last minute because the director liked the dog so much. He thought that the audience would have a clear idea of what would happen and how horrific the fall was.
Yeah, I actually really liked that little that touch to have that.
Why does she have it?
Well, I assumed that. Well, I don't know. I don't. Well, now that you bring that up, I don't know.
Why does she have it? I think Hal was like, red flag, let's get rid of her kind of thing. And and now he can blame it on Gabe.
Because he had lied about his injury. He said that he had hurt his knee getting out of a hot tub, and Stallone was like, or no, he had said that it was a war vet injury, and then Stallone said it was because he got out of a hot tub. He was probably like, no, let her go.
Yeah, this is probably the third girl he's brought up there that week. I love telling jokes on here because of your delayed laughter. And sometimes you don't always laugh, and it makes me sad.
I'll start laughing at everything you say from now on.
just start laughing immediately when I start talking. It's gonna be good.
Okay, yeah, there we go. We actually have a good comment though.
Did they issue the same disclaimer in Ace Ventura also? I don't know. I didn't look that up. We're not doing Ace Ventura. It's not a good comment. Get out of here. In the original cut of this movie, it was shown to test that there was a 40-foot jump, and it's in the trailer. I've watched the trailer 3 times today, and there is a scene in the trailer where he jumps from one cliff to another cliff, and that is not in the movie at all because audiences laughed so hard when they saw it, thinking it was it was impossible. The trailer's amazing, so anybody that goes and watches it, the trailer's amazing. It doesn't have any talking in it. It doesn't have any talking in it. It's got Flight of the Valkyries in the background, and it's a funny trailer to me anyway. Let's see. I don't think there's any talking in the trailer at all. It's just Flight of the Valkyries.
That was a different one I just found because hold on, let me see. Oh, I found the one.
Okay. This isn't necessarily interesting, but the production companies were forced to pay out an additional $750,000 to different writers. That we kind of touched on that at the beginning because they were all claiming that credit for the story. This film, somebody had mentioned this earlier in the chat. This film has been criticized for its unrealistic portrayal of rock climbing, including the bolt gun that we see him kill somebody with earlier, because that's not a thing. And they're also some of the like moves that the climber is like Stallone is doing and everything aren't really used in real climbing. And it's also there's a lot of like useless gear that's used here. I don't know anything about climbing. I think we have a friend that probably knows a little bit more about climbing, but I don't know anything about climbing. I just took it all at face value that it was good. The Denver Mint, featured in the film as the producer of the cash, only produced coins. So they don't do bills. And if they were to really produce this much money, it would have weighed, I think, 2,500. It was either 2,500 tons or 2,500 pounds. I think it was 2,500 tons is what they said.
Had to have been pounds, right? It can't have been tons.
I don't know. I forgot what the thing was, but it was pretty large. Sylvester Stallone's an avid golfer. I don't know if you know that, but because of all the climbing in this movie, it really roughed up his hands and it messed up his golf game. And this was my favorite part of this. Fun fact: the models that he was dating complained about his rough hands.
Yeah, I did read that. That made me laugh really hard. I also just saw the 40-foot cliff jump that you were talking about, and I understand
it's ridiculous
the reaction because Jesus.
Yeah. And then my final fun fact, body count in this movie, 17, which was like 10 more than I actually thought died in this movie.
Yeah. So it had to been like what, 3 on the plane, and then like, yeah, I don't know how.
No,
I don't know how they reached that.
5 on one plane are killed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On that first plane, 5 people are killed on that. Yeah. And then 6 is the other pilot of the other plane. 7, the girl. And I don't know where 10 other people die, but 17 is the body count here. Whose face is on the $1,000 bill? Do you know? A hippie did die. I don't even think they make a $1,000 bill anymore.
Did they ever?
Yeah, they did. Let's see. The $1,000 bill includes Grover Cleveland, and at the last one was printed at the end of World War II. So there you go. It's not even realistic. This movie's not real at all. The delayed laughter makes up for everything in
Sorry.
this. Everything that's gone wrong, the delayed laughter is the best. All right,
Damn you,
so
OBS.
how would you make it better if you could make this? If you could make this better, how would you make it better?
Okay, so like a lot of it is due to the time. So like 1993, they didn't have all the technology we have now. So some of it would be due to like the effects and stuff like that. Obviously, I'd cut out that scene where it's obvious they were filmed in Italy, because that pissed me off. And then I think even though I thought, well, I don't know, like I think most, if not all, of the acting performances was fine. Um, yeah, I think I would maybe change some of the realism, not to make it too realistic, because obviously it's an action movie. It can't, part of it is, being a movie and not real. But I think I would have made it maybe a little bit more realistic in some aspects. Maybe the rock climbing stuff, because rock climbing is a lot more popular, I think, than people realize. I'm not into it, but a lot of people will see some stuff and be like, "Well, that's not how you do it." So I think I would say
Yeah,
that. The story itself is pretty good. I think the main thing though would be the ending. I think that one. I still think, even though, like you said, like because of the time, like it was kind of a common theme in the time to be a little more abrupt like that. I think a little bit more fleshed out would have been pretty nice to add to that.
yeah. No, I like all of what you just said. I didn't write any notes specifically about it. I think the timing stuff was the only thing that really bugged me. Um, but other than that, I thought it was pretty. It was a really fun movie, and I enjoyed watching it. So I don't know if I would change very much about it. Nobody stuck out as like incredibly bad in it or anything to me. I just thought it was a really fun movie to watch on a Sunday afternoon. So in regards to that, what rating did you give it out of 5 stars?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said it's a fun movie, because I think that's exactly what it is. It's not a perfect movie. There's some cheese in it, but it was enjoyable. It was unique, and so for that, I gave it a 3.5 stars out of 5.
Nice. I'm very similar. I think I gave it 3 stars. I think it's a good movie. I would watch it again. I would definitely watch it again. In fact, I think there's a podcast out there that did a rewatch of this movie, and I'm probably going to listen to it after this. So, yeah, and that's a good point that somebody just brought up in chat, is that they're curious how the sequel didn't get traction because it did have such a solid day at the box, or solid time at the box office. I don't know.
I wonder if part of that too is like we've mentioned, due to the time, because now like we see all these production companies really like just cash grabbing anything they can make a sequel on, or they can make a remake on, anything to kind of go for that cash grab. And I'm going to guess that maybe that wasn't the case in '93, and maybe that, even though the box office was good, like it still didn't get quite the reception that they were hoping for. So I'm wondering if maybe that was the case, because I guarantee you, if this movie was made now and it made that much at the box office, they would immediately go for a sequel.
Yeah, it says that it just never made it past the development stage. So maybe they just didn't get a story good enough to where they were like, this will work. It also says that they were going to do a remake in the late 2000s, and it just never got picked up, or nothing ever happened with it. It says in 2019, a female-fronted Cliffhanger reboot was announced, and it was directed. It has people attached to it, so maybe we'll get a female Cliffhanger.
Oh, please no. I'm sick of remakes and like non-original stories. That just really frustrates me. That and sequels. Like I need some original stuff.
Yeah, somebody in chat was talking about Stallone's hands again, and I'd be curious to see how those hands feel now.
You nasty.
You nasty. You're taking it there. You're the one that's taking it there. I'm taking this to hands up. Okay. All right. Well, anything else you want to say about Cliffhanger?
Nope. I had fun watching it, and I'm sure the next movie will probably blow it out of the water, and I'll be surprised if the next movie's not number one of our list. We'll see though.
Yeah. That's a good segue into our next movie. So next week we are doing, I believe, the number one movie at the box office and was the number one movie for a while. It is Jurassic Park. So Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. He's got 2 movies that come out this year, both very different. But yeah, next week's Jurassic Park. So I know a lot of you in chat have probably already seen this. I'm going to do a rewatch of it, of course, and encourage you all to do so as well. Bring your notes, bring your childhood if you watched it as a child like I did, and bring your Michael Crichton facts. Bring everything. We're talking about Jurassic Park next week. That one might go 2 hours. Who knows? We'll see. But other than that, I want to thank you, Spencer, for joining me this week. Even with the technical difficulties and everything, we got to iron that out and figure that out. And I really appreciate everybody for showing up and being patient as we get through these technical difficulties and everything. So stick with me. We'll get all this stuff figured out, and we'll see you next week when we do Jurassic Park. So thank you all, everybody.